Yeah, do it. Let's dive
All
into
right.
science.
Okay. Okay. I'm Dana Griffith, and I have four kids. When the thing didn't work for Shay, I printed out a picture of my kids instead of sharing it. So anyway, these are my guys. I've got twin girls. They're 14, and I have two sons, 11 and 9. And I just love being with them, and I love doing the school, and man, homeschooling has just been awesome. So we've loved a gentle feast. We've been doing it for 5 years now. Next year will be our sixth year. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about how we do our science. I have three forms, just like Micaiah. So we have Form 3, we have Form 2, and I have Form 1. And that is a lot. You are juggling the different forms, especially with like math and language arts. But in the morning, we do that morning time together, like what Shay did and showed us. And right after morning time, when we do science, we do a family science because we're all together. We just stay together. And with a gentle feast, there's the family science, which works great, even though we have a pretty large span of kids. And technically, like the family science is forms 2 and 3, but my form 1 just pops along and he's with us and he's able to really absorb different things from the feast. He might not be getting the full picture, and that's totally fine. He's a lot younger. I don't expect him to remember nearly as much as the older kids, but it's incredible what he does remember. So, of course, he just stays with us. We just bring him along for the ride, which kind of happens with your youngest anyway. And it works out beautifully, actually. So we've really enjoyed that. We've enjoyed the family science. And I'll talk a little bit more. Maybe at the end, I'll address what happens in Form 1. If your oldest is Form 1, it's a little bit different. And if your oldest is in high school, which I will have next year, I don't yet, but I can't believe they're going to be high schoolers. I'm still, Julie, it blows my mind. I'm like, what?
I
But
know,
anyway,
right? Yeah, I know.
I know. What in the world? So anyway, so we're just doing the family science, that's forms 2, 3, and obviously we just have that extra form 1 that tags along. The one that I picked, and the way that the family science goes, it's 3 days a week. So you're not doing it every single day. And it's broken up. Most of the time it follows a pattern where one of the days is like our information day. And that's it's not a textbook, but it's the place where you get a lot of the information, the science information. So this is where we're going to be studying chemistry, or we're studying anatomy, or we're studying a geology or physics. You're going to be in one of those for half the year, and then you'll do something else for the other half of the year. So it's very specific to that science. And you'll have one book that's going to be like your information day in your information book. And then day 2 is usually a biography of a scientist that was excellent in that field. So we do a biography. I guess I can show you a little bit. So we
Okay.
did like anatomy and physiology, right? So that was one of the halves of the years. And this is like, let's see if I can. Okay, here we go. So this is the way we work. It's one of the books that has, I'll go through it a little bit with you guys a little bit, but it has these amazing pictures of the body and things that happen in it. And my kids still talk about the pictures. We did this like a couple years ago, and they still talk about it. And then the biography that goes along with it is Germ Hunter, which was Louis Pasteur. And it's funny because I got these books out today, and my daughter like, she was just walking by. She's like, "Oh, I love that book." And I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "That's awesome." So it does stick with them. It's really interesting to see their reaction during it. You might think that, are they getting any of this? Is any of this, are they even connecting to any of it? And then it's so funny because it's happened so many times where my kids, a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, they look at a book that I didn't think they liked at all. And they even told me sometimes, this is not interesting. But then they'll do it a couple years later, and they're like, "Oh, that was my favorite book," or, "Oh, that book was so cool." And I'm sitting here like, awesome, okay, because I'm not going to argue with them, right? You just go on. So anyway, this is the Germ Hunter, and then day 3 is your experiment. So that's where it's all in line. It's got the materials. You can look at all the experiments beforehand. And a lot of times there's a video, which is super duper helpful. And that comes with the membership, where they have somebody actually doing the experiment with you, or you can watch them do it and then you do it, because so often, unless we're all science teachers, we're not really sure what's supposed to happen either. Like when you have that video, it's super helpful to just see, okay, what should be happening? Did we do something wrong? And you're not waiting. I don't know. It just helps guide the whole process. And then, of course, has really good questions at the end. So those are the 3 days, and you get to pick which days you want to do your science. So we pick the days based on, okay, do we have any classes or co-ops or things at the Y that we're doing? So we'll pick the days that are like a little less busy to do our science stuff. And then I guess I'll just go ahead and do a lesson.
Yes, let's do it.
Sounds good. Okay. All right. And I'm just doing a little bit of our spine, and then I'll do a little bit our info day and a little bit of our biography. So nothing that's complete. But what I would do, let's see here. A lot of times, okay, so with the information book, okay. So I would take, sorry, I'm working with the camera.
I know, it's so hard online. I wish we could all be together.
Because it's opposite, right?
Yes.
If I move that way, it goes and anyway, I'm working on it.
It looks right for us.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
it'll look backwards for you, but it looks correct for us.
Yes. Okay, good. All right. And this book is great because it has a lot of illustrations. A lot of our textbooks do. So we'd always start off with, okay, guys, what were we studying last time? What body organ did we study? Because we're doing anatomy here, right? And I'll pretend like I'm my kids, and they'll be like, oh, was it the cells? I'll be like, no, that was a month ago. How about just last week, right? And then they'll come up with, oh, we were doing the kidneys. And okay, what was important about those kidneys? They made urine. Okay. So then we have a starting point, a launch point. And then a lot of times, because there's pictures, we'll go through some of the pictures before we start reading, just so that we can kind of see, okay, what are these labels? And I'll write down on there we go. I'll write down on a little whiteboard words that they need to know, or especially with science, sometimes there's just words that they haven't heard before. So kidney, oh yeah, what does it do? It makes urine. Bladder, what does that do? It stores urine. The ureters, that's the tubes. And we'll point it out in the pictures. Those are the tubes from the kidney down to the bladder. Urethra, that's the tube from the bladder out, where it goes out. Okay. So we go over some of that terminology. Some kids have a harder time with that science terminology. So the more they hear it, and just having that at the beginning really helps. Oh, and I forgot to show y'all. So something that Julie has in the membership, and the Agenda Feast membership, so she has a science notebook, which is great for taking notes and doing the lab work. The lab sheets look something like this for when you do get to a lab. And then the other parts, and this is great for the anatomy, is there's a place where you can draw stuff and you can write. And so this is the part that I love for when we're doing our info session, because a lot of times we can draw our concepts and things like that. So, all right, so we would do a review. What did we remember? Let's look at our pictures. And then I would just read. So the caption is gotta go. None of us can escape the inevitable. Several times a day, we stop what we're doing, visit the bathroom, and urinate. While this may seem inconvenient, it's far preferable to the alternative, a constant trickle. The relentless flow of urine from our kidneys is channeled down two tubes called ureters and stored in the bladder until it can be discharged through the urethra at our convenience. When it's dense like this, I'll stop at each paragraph and just ask for a narration. Okay, so what was that saying? What did that tell us? And my kids can come back and hopefully they can remember some of that. And usually I do oral narrations through science for this part, and we stop at each paragraph. So before we would go on to the next paragraph down here, we would stop, check for understanding. If there's anything that needed to be explained, I would do that. And then we would go down to the next paragraph, do that, check for understanding. So, and that's how we would do.
Can you read one more paragraph and then we can try in the chat to narrate?
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. Okay. So this paragraph.
And I love that we're talking about pee on this call. We're just keeping it real here, people.
It's funny because I literally asked my kids, I'm like, what body part do you want me to talk about? And this is what it was. So here we are. So anyway, filling is our next chapter, or our next little paragraph. Filling. So each ureter gently massages the urine from one of the kidneys by peristalsis to an opening at the rear of the bladder, a muscular and remarkable stretchy storage bag. Urine pressure inside the bladder closes this opening enough to prevent backflow, but still allows urine to enter. The urethra is the tube that will carry urine to the outside. Currently, it is closed by an internal sphincter, which encircles the bladder urethra junction, and lower down by an external sphincter that is under our control. Its muscular wall relaxed, the bladder becomes rounder as it fills with urine. Stretch receptors in the bladder's muscular wall tell the nervous system how full it is. It's a lot, and that's why we stop. So, what made sense? What's going on?
All right. So put in the chat, narrate what you remember.
My kids love the word sphincter too. I don't know what the it's a funny word, but it's great.
This is the coolest thing because even though we've already done that book, I just learned something. This is why I love the style of learning so much because I feel like multiple times a day, I'm like, even though it's probably something I have read or heard, whatever, but it's all new to me. Like, I just feel
Yeah,
like such a kid sometimes. I'm like, no
me
way, our
too.
body does that. That's so cool.
That's the best thing I feel with Charlotte Mason is it's feeding me too, like what you
Yeah.
talked about yesterday. And it's like I just with me, it's I was more of a math and science person, so the literature is just filling me up because I did not really pay attention to the literature and the history very much, and I just love it. And I love the science and all that stuff too. But I just love learning.
All
This
right.
is great.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys like you got it. So this is good. And so we would just check for understanding. People got it. They know the word sphincter. And you can go back to the diagrams. I would have the kids probably draw like the kidneys and the bladder and how it goes out and maybe label a couple things. Just that helps their understanding. It reinforces it.
Yes. Thank you so much. That was so fun. And now I know something about my bladder that I didn't know. So I call that a win for the day. I was the history literature person. And so this kind of living science has just given me a love for a subject that I actually didn't like because I love reading about the scientists and what made them work. So it's like Louis Pasteur and studying the body, but then also, okay, now I'm going to learn about the body at the same time. And family science being, do you just want to touch on that real fast before we go? Because you had mentioned you were going to talk about that at the end.
Oh yeah, so that was family science. So again, that's forms two and three. The
Yeah,
if your
grades
oldest
4 through 8, if you're not familiar with
Yes,
that.
grades
Yeah,
4 through 8. Sorry. Yeah, grades four
it's
through
all good.
eight. So if your oldest is Form 1, your science is not going to be that yet. What it's going to be is your natural history and your nature study. And it's amazing because that really hones in the skills of curiosity and it hones in on observation. And those skills, if you build those up when you have a first, second, and third grader, they are going to be so equipped to just be able to ask the good questions, to observe things, because you're going to be reading books like this one. It's the Burgess Book of Animals. And again, I didn't know if my kids were even liking it. And they see this book now and they are just like, oh, I love that book, Mom. That's the best book. We need to read the rest of it because there's only 36 weeks. And so we didn't get to the last few chapters and they're still wanting to read it. And like the Burgess Book of Birds. So these are like the natural history. And oh, and then you get to do a cute little coloring page while your kids are either listening to it. And if you're in the membership, there are some videos of those animals, and that's just 2 days a week. But that's what your Form 1 is going to look like. So it's going to be really similar. What did we read last week? Let's read about the next animals. And it's so cute. It's like Peter Rabbit and Mother Nature, and she's talking to him about all his little forest friends and telling him all these facts, but it's real facts, like very detailed. And the kids will remember what they remember. They take from the feast what they can, and it's amazing what they remember. It's really incredible,
And that
especially
ties
with
in perfectly too, because now we're going to go do nature study. The younger years, it's really building that foundational because all of Charlotte Mason, it's starting with what you know, what you can see and experience as they're little, and then growing out more to the abstract as they grow up. So when they're little, they can go outside and see the pine cones and see the grasses and see the flowers and see the birds.